Hello. Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Code. Today I'm here with your name.
Lily.
And then we got new guests here today.
Hey.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Rashani.
And you guys.
I'm Billy.
I'm Kyra.
And I'm Adria.
Today's topic we're going to leave it to Adria to talk about. So Adria, do you want to go with it?
Thanks, Noel. Hi guys. Yeah, today's topic is quite personal and quite important, we think, but something that we thought at Girl Code we should bring to light, and that is the important topic about women's safety. So obviously over the last couple of months there's been so much in the media about women's safety, especially the case of the young school teacher that was recently murdered, and then Sarah Everard, who was murdered following an incident with a policeman, you know, somebody that should be considered as a point of safety. But obviously that wasn't the case. So today was just really to have a little topic and discussion with the team around women's safety and how they feel. As one of the managers at NYC, I felt that it was very important, and immediately after kind of like hearing about all these episodes of, you know, women being murdered, etc., I got a load of personal alarms and whistles and handed them out to the staff so that they feel safe. Often they leave the office quite late and could be walking the streets, so we kind of did that. And we've recently come up with an initiative that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. So from November the 25th to the 10th of December is 16 days of activism towards gender-based violence, but specifically aimed at violence towards women and girls. And we're participating in that great initiative, and we are doing this podcast today specifically to address that subject. We are attending a march. Are we not?
Yeah,
What's
hopefully,
the march
called on the 27th.
It's called Reclaim the Night.
Reclaim the Night on the 27th, so do come down and join. And also we are giving back to the community by treating 16 survivors of violence to some spa treatments from our very talented team, because not only are they youth workers, we've got beauticians and hairdressers. And yeah, we've kind of all come together with a number of community organisations to put on this special day or special weekend, which will happen on the weekend of the 27th and the weekend of the 4th.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but more information on that will be coming very, very shortly. So definitely stay tuned. But let's just kind of get the question out there to all you girls, really and truly. What your experiences are, you know, how safe do you feel like right about now, going out, not even necessarily at night, do you know what I mean? How safe do you feel as a woman, being out about in society, in relationships? Like, how are you feeling?
I think it's a difficult one because a lot of us, I'm not to speak for myself, have to, for example, book cabs at the bus stop to get yourself home, or just there's a lot of
Get
things
picked
that you
up
have
and
to,
dropped off
yeah.
places,
There's a lot of things that we have to put in place before we go out. One thing that my mum always taught me is put your keys between your hands.
Yeah.
If anyone tries to attack you, you're able to defend yourself. And thank you to Adria, we have personal alarms, we have whistles, so we are able to protect ourselves. But again, there's a lot of things that we have to put in place for us to feel safe.
Yeah, there is a lot. I feel like for me, if I go out late or come home late and stuff, I would have to like call my brothers to pick me up from the bus stop or something.
or stay on the phone to somebody,
Yeah.
like on the bus or walk
Yeah,
in.
just in case anything happens and stuff like that. So that's like it's for me as well. I don't know.
I
about
have to share. I share my location with my dad, so he like checks where I am, and I get a call. He's like, "Why is your location not on? Where are you?" And I'm
where
like,
are
it's just
you?
a
Yeah.
Wi-Fi problem. I'm in the gym. Don't worry. But it's sad that you have to do that.
It is. It's a sad reality that we have to do stuff like this to make sure that we are safe out there.
There's
It's
actually
terrible.
an actual app now that you have on your phone where it shows like literally everything you do. So if you was it's a family app. So you have
I
all
have
the,
it.
yeah,
It's
you
called
have
Life 360.
yeah,
or
that's
something like that as
that's
well.
what it's called. And literally, if you're driving, it will tell you where you're driving, how fast you're driving, where you are.
it literally tells you everything. But I don't know. I usually take the long way home if I was to go home. Like, I don't go through alleyways when it's dark.
No, I don't go through alleyways.
I don't do any of that. I always take my headphones out when it's dark, when I'm walking on my own.
I don't even wear my headphones when I come home. Not at all.
I won't even do that during the day. Like when I walk to my gym, it's quicker for me to go under the underpass and be to the gym. I'll cross over and
You'll cross over it, It's just, you don't think, oh, let's go the shortcut way, because it might be a shortcut, but you don't know what's going to happen to you. So
is that what we're saying then? So I guess what we're trying to say is we don't feel safe then.
No.
It's sad that we don't.
And we shouldn't have to feel like that. We
Yeah.
shouldn't have to think, oh, let me plan my journey before I go out. Let me make sure I've got things in place so I know I'm safe before I leave the house. We shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to.
I don't even think that we should actually have to have alarms as well.
like-
I just think that's ridiculous. But I don't know. I just guess that I don't think, like, as females, we're always educated about taking care of our bodies and making sure that we respect ourselves. And I don't think men get the same treatment.
No.
The responsibility's on us.
Yeah, they don't get told exactly
it's always on us,
how to
like,
treat a woman. So imagine being just having a dad and growing up with your dad.
Or not with your dad.
Or not with your dad, or on your own. Like, you wouldn't know how to act. You haven't been told, or there's not that much awareness regarding that. Like, just their mental health in general. Like, men don't usually express themselves, from what I've learned. Like, they don't show emotion as much as us females would. So they would hide away, and that's what leads to mental health mainly anyway. But I just think they need to be a bit more supported in terms of their mental health. So because it's scary to know that you don't know what a man is capable of doing,
and what's going through their heads.
Because physically, they're more than likely to be like more in control of any situation, which to me personally is terrifying. Like.
Yeah. So what do we think some of the causes are in terms of why do we think more violence is happening towards women, or is it a case of that it's being more widely reported? Like, is this an epidemic that's just started? Do you know what I mean? But I guess, the question kind of answers itself in terms of the amount of domestic violence. I mean, I'm not even sure actually of how many women it is. I'm sure it's 2 to 3 women per week are killed, is it not, at the hands of their partner? So kind of we're going into domestic violence there. But, aside from sort of like somebody that the fact that a stranger out there, can have these intentions kind of like to harm you, can only be from a mental health reason, surely. Do you know what I mean? It's a difficult one, isn't it, really? It is a difficult one, but I totally agree. I had an experience quite recently where, I was on a bus and, someone came across quite aggressive and was just very much like, well, why are you on the bus then if you don't want, any attention, that type of thing. And, people that were nearby stood back from that situation as well. Only afterwards, after the guy had kind of left, did they kind of spring into action. We were ready to do something, But then really, is it their responsibility?
You're ready to do it when that person leaves, but you're not ready to do it when I'm in that situation.
How is there going to be change if no one's willing to?
I get it. People worry. They think, okay, maybe something's going to happen to myself. But
when there's a group of you against one person. And they probably don't expect someone to stand up to them.
No, that's what
they
it is.
expect
They don't
us
expect
just to kind of cower in the corner and ignore it.
But then that's what we do. We do cower in the corner and we ignore it. That's what we do.
Because it shows how much power they have over us.
Over us, which I think is disgusting.
As a female, you would get scared. You wouldn't know what to do. You would like, I'd defend myself, but then at the same time you're thinking, okay, but what if he actually does something to me?
What if he harms me?
But what do we do about it then, girls, moving forward? If we've kind of all understand that we don't feel safe, if we recognise, some of the things that we do to feel safe, like arm ourselves with all these tools and stuff like that, but, ultimately, what do we do about it? Like, what do you think that can be done about it? Can anything be done about it?
Okay, but I know a lot of people, most likely, people might comment on this and be like, that not all men are like this. We're not saying
we're not saying that.
We're saying there is some people out there that are like this, that have treated women like this and everything. So people need to understand we're not blaming every man in the world.
Definitely not. And obviously we do have a male podcast that is coming out which will tackle this subject, because we recognised that not every single male is like this, and you know, we recognise that not all violence against women is perpetrated by, you know, men. There are plenty of, you know, relationships, women relationships where violence kind of like occurs. You know, so yeah, we 100% at NYCC recognise, and Girl Code recognise that it's not just that, but you know, we are talking about the specifics of violence towards women. We are recognising that over 80 women, and I'm sure the statistic's gone up in the last couple of weeks. I do know up until a couple of weeks ago, over 80 women plus had been murdered since the Sarah Everard incident, which took place less than a year ago, you know. And again, that's so concerning, don't you think, girls? I mean, we talk about knife crime, and obviously that's another important topic, and young men that are dying, but you know, we haven't had those sort of numbers, like 80 young men being stabbed in a year, you know, and it's shocking enough that 20, 10, 15 will die in a year. Why are we not jumping up and down, do you think? Why is more not being kind of publicised and it being highlighted? The large amount of women that are being murdered, you know, by their partners. And again, you know, I bring the question back to, what do we do about it? How do we stop it? You know, if we're recognising that the perpetrators are men, is it the fact that we need to start working within schools, a bit like with the knife crime sort of thing? We need to get in there and start working with boys around early trauma and, you know, that type of thing.
I just think that even the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but like even if something was to happen through rape or like stalking someone, I feel like what they get sentenced and what they get really done for, I don't think that's really doing justice to what they're actually doing. And I think that there's not really something that you could do to actually change the way they are, because at the end of the day, these are certain individuals that choose to act the way they're acting. But if I'm honest with you, there's literally nothing that actually could be done for it, and that's why a lot of people get away with it, because there's nothing to be done, and they're scared to put that to light because they don't have a solution themselves.
It's like in the case of that, you need some sort of punishment, but you need that rehabilitation to actually understand what you've done is wrong. This is what it's caused, but why? What went through your mind to do that?
What went in your head?
There's something underlying. There might be a lack of education, a lack of guidance that wasn't expressed to them, that they thought that was okay.
So then what about introducing lessons into schools, making it part
I think
of
that's
the
a
curriculum?
brilliant idea, to be honest.
Because we can look at prevention. That's looking at, you know, that's looking at preventative measures in terms of, you know, I always believe, again, when it comes to working with young people involved in knife crime and stuff like that, depending on where their journey is, depends on whether they're going to be able to get out of it, whether they're going to sort of phase out of it, age out of it, do you know what I mean, or end up in jail. But it's the younger lot, the brothers, the sisters, you know, the younger generation that are watching their uncles, dads, you know, and everybody's involvement in that. If we can catch them, you know, and kind of teach them not to go down the right path. Surely it's kind of like the same in terms of relationships. We need to start bringing relationships into school, you know, much sooner, even though I'm not happy with that. I wouldn't want that. I think our kids know too much already, you know. We force them to grow up because they're seeing too much, they're hearing too much. So it's not what I would want, but as a necessity, you know. Or is it that, you know, teachers are looking out for certain types of behaviour, aggressive behaviours and stuff, and then working with that child individually, you know? But then I'm sure a lot of parents will be a bit like, just because my child's doing this doesn't mean that they're going to grow up, you know. How do we do that then? How do we ensure that parents understand the importance of it and not, you know, say that can't be taught in schools, and if it can be, what age? What age are we teaching it from?
Yeah, there's got to be an age.
Guys, what age would you be comfortable for it to be taught at if you're for your younger brother?
I would say secondary school.
Secondary school. That's when, like, year 7s upwards, when you can teach them and learn, and like they will learn.
They've got a bit more of an understanding
to
comprehend certain things
when they're at that age.
But what about the kids that are in primary school and they're kind of watching mum
things
get battered
you could
by dad?
teach certain things, but it's your approach to it.
Yeah.
Like, I still think like being taught sex education in like year 6 is a bit much.
Yeah, I think it's still a bit much. It makes me.
It's like, okay, when you're going to do it, but I think you're taking a bit of innocence away from them. So there's got to be an approach that you take to them to sort of say, this is good, this is bad, on a very basic level. And then when you get to secondary school,
that's when you learn further. More about it.
Do you not feel though by also bringing it into school could open up another can of worms though, couldn't it?
Oh, 100%.
It's a bit like the kid that didn't recognise what was going on, and then all of a sudden goes into class and the teacher kind of lays out what domestic violence is and what it looks like, especially if it could be something like emotional or financial abuse and not necessarily the, you know.
Then most kids could open up to you and be like, Miss, I feel like this is happening to my mum or my sister or with her boyfriend and stuff like that.
I know.
It's where
that's such a responsibility though, because once you open that can of worms,
that's it.
that child needs to be supported through that, whether their parent wishes to seek support for that. You know, and as we know, sort of, you know, social services aren't going to really do anything unless that child is at immediate risk kind of thing. So that child could still kind of, you know, big questions.
Dilemmas.
It is a difficult one.
Where would you find that space that is safe for them, where they're going to get educated properly and get that support and understanding?
And it's so cultural as well, I think, as well. Do we not think sort of like violence as well? You know, different cultures deal with it differently, don't they? Lots of cultures kind of sweep it up onto the carpet. I mean, I don't know.
Just
how many, I don't
even
know, even in this room, I don't know how many cultures have we got in this room, like between us? 1, 2, 3... 4 or 5. Well, about 4 or 5. So, you know, and I know that, you know,
in my culture, it's more of like, we don't talk about it outside. It's kept in the house.
It just stays. It stays under.
No one should know about it. If something happened between your parents, that's it. It's between your parents.
Nobody else knows. That's
you don't get involved. That's how it is.
I feel like it's quite open in some instances though, sort of like, you know, I mean, you just need to go on the gram these days and see celebrities airing their business out. Do you know what I mean? He laid his hands on me and all that kind of stuff, etc., etc. And then 2 minutes later, there's a post of them kind of back together, hugging and loving and everything else. You know, do you think that those messages as well are detrimental to young females?
Because
it makes them think it's okay. It makes them think it's okay. It's normal. It's normal to
be in a toxic, abusive
a couple of hits now and then,
oh, okay, that's alright.
No.
Which is not though, and people need to show that to younger kids, because, you know, the younger girls, especially on Instagram, they're very impressionable. They see whatever famous people do and they're like, oh, I want to do that too. And then they see the way you are in relationships and they're like, oh, I want that in my relationship. But then a couple of weeks ago you said that he beat you up and
now you're back with him.
They're going to think, oh, that's okay because this person was like
they'll
that.
think it's okay.
I mean, I think
to be here.
Chris Brown. I mean, he's one of the most. Is he one of the most famous people that we know in terms of you know?
But he's like someone that kind of slipped through it.
Basically.
Do you know what? I don't think he did. I think Chris Brown actually did years and years and years and years. I think he's only come to this country as of last year. May have been his first visit. He actually was like banned from this country for about 8 years, wasn't he? There was a lot that he couldn't do, kind of thing, you know. Does he deserve to be here now? Do you know what I mean? Is there like, so a guy who kind of does that, beats on a woman, you know, is there like a timeline sort of like, you know, when he's acceptable again, aside from famous, you know, the rich and famous, they always get a pass, don't they? You know, they can do something 1 minute, we all forget about it, and then there's something else to, but you know, in normal time, does everybody, you know, is there a certain amount of time when a guy then gets a pass after he's done something?
I wouldn't say there's a certain amount of time, but I feel like everyone is allowed to improve and grow. So it wouldn't make sense for us to sit here and support everyone. There's going to be people that have either gone through it or are going through it, or someone that's just being aware of the situation. But either way, I don't know, like the Chris Brown situation is weird because I saw interviews with Rihanna crying her eyes out, still screaming that she loves him. Yeah. Which for a young female, let's say around 12 years old or 13 years old, that's confusion.
Very confusing.
Because she was like, he's the love of my life, like the first person I've ever loved. And she's like, he's not a monster, he needs help. She's like, I forgive him, but he needs the help. everyone needs to understand that, you know, and everyone's going to be confused. Like, the kids see that, they'll be like, oh, well, Brianna thinks about that, then how would the person I fall in love with if they did it to me? But I feel like that too.
Yeah.
So I think the way you word things
It's
as
a
well,
big
you need
impact
to
on,
watch what you're going to say for kids as well.
I don't even think kids should actually have access to those kind of things anyway. That's a really adult conversation to be having.
Yeah.
And the fact that young kids are so accessible to them is just... There's people on Instagram, you would look at them and you would think they're like 19 years old or older or 20.
And they're really not.
They're 15, 14. Like,
and it shocks you.
with eyebrows and eyelashes.
I'm like, I didn't look like that when I was...
I was putting shoelaces in my hair at that age. I promise you. I was not doing none of that. Like, it makes no sense.
So do you think us older females have a responsibility to show and model
yes.
to the younger generation of girls?
Yeah.
You know, to kind of show them the way forward and make them recognise that the first sign should be the last sign. No? Do we not think, you know?
Yeah, there shouldn't be, oh,
Yeah.
he hit me again. Like, do you know what I mean? It should just be the first time you think you'd go, just leave.
Do you think there's enough out there to alert women to the fact that what's going on, you know, and that those type of behaviours are, you know?
I think I watched something on Netflix and it said well, I don't know how much of it is true, but
Was it Made?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
Oh,
was
so
saying
good.
she was saying that in it that the lady was saying they're more than likely to go back around 10 times.
It takes about 7 times for them to leave.
Yeah. Back and forth maybe like 5 or 6 times and she still didn't learn.
And it makes, like, I don't know, just stuff like that in general. I mean, that's something good to say, but that's an excuse for a female that's going through it to be like, oh, 10 times, like, let me count 10 times. Do you know what do you know what? Like, to me, the actual thing was great, but that's one part of it that really stood out to me. And it's like,
out to you,
why would you? Even though the main character in there went back twice or something, like, that's still good. But in general, like, that's giving someone that's unstable, even support for someone that's going through that. So say for example, like, if one of us were attacked on the streets, like, the support for that afterwards, after you filed the report, there's no support at all.
There isn't.
Like, there's literally no one to turn to, no one to talk to at all.
Yeah, I guess we found that. I mean, at NYCC we have a victim support program. Probably a good time to kind of mention it. That the reason that we brought this victim support program was because we recognised that victims of crime or violence sometimes didn't get the practical support that they needed. So if anybody is a victim of crime, please hop online and read the details about the program and how to either self-refer yourself or refer somebody else. I think it's been a good, interesting conversation. You know, we could go on more and more.
Go on for
you know, it is what it is. But it'd be interesting to see what the guys think as well, won't it?
It'd be good to have their point of view on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for
coming. And the rest of the team.
It was nice.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Well,
guys.
that's it, guys. Thanks for watching Girl Code. We will see you guys pretty soon, hopefully. Subscribe to our channel, subscribe to Project Code London as well. Follow all of our socials in the link below. And
Oh yeah.
Say bye.
Bye.